Welcome, pre-calculus students, to three of my favorite graphs, and I'm sure it's yours too. Domain and range of the graph. So we talked about domain and range of points, but how the heck do you do the domain and range of these graphs? So if you had, and unfortunately I only have the color blue today, so we're going to stick with blue. But if we had domain, and we had to fill this blank in here, and range, and our job was to find the domain and range of that blue oval, which is known as an ellipse, E-L-I-P-S-E, an ellipse. How do you do this? Well, the domain, of course, if we're reviewing, would be the x values. X values. The range, of course, is y values. So watch. The domain would be the values of x that this thing covers. So here's the x-axis and here's the y-axis. The domain would be from right here, and that is 0.6, over here to -6. See, it's kind of like a fence. And if I can draw, we'll use a color like that. We'll see if that shows up properly. But if I can draw a straight line here, I'm going to delete these in a second. But just look. Hopefully you can see that. Between those green lines right there, it'll look better when you watch this on the computer, but between those green lines, that's the domain. That fenced-in area going sideways because the domain is on the x values. So that fence in between is the domain. So it would be, and I better get rid of those two things, or it'll be all sloppy all over the place. But between these two lines here, from -6 to +6 would be the domain. Out here at 7, here's 7. 7 has no friends. This graph doesn't even touch that. It is between -6 and 6. Hopefully you understand that. It's like a fence. And the range works the same way. I'll go back to my green lines and show you that. Once you kind of see, once the light bulb goes off, it's totally easy to see what the range and domain is. So right there. Now the range is going up and down. So between those green lines would be the range. So if I had to write that, and I'll get rid of these and go back to black, between those two lines would be -4, there's -4, and +4. So it would be -4 to +4. There's another set of notation that you can use to write this. And I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but it's hard bracket -6, comma 6 hard bracket. That means this right here means it goes from -6 to 6. A third way of writing it would be -6 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 6. You can choose however you want. The book is going to go with this. Most people stick with this. Some people like this. It all means the same thing. So from this, it would be hard bracket -4, comma 4 hard bracket. You can't put a parenthesis in there. That means something else. That means you have a hole in your graph or a dotted line instead of a solid line. So more on that in a minute. The next graph, the line. And this one's much easier. I showed you the hard one first. The domain, range. The domain of this graph. It's like saying how far left or right does this thing go? How far to the left does this graph go? Well, that's an arrowhead. That means it goes to the left forever. And it also means it goes down forever because it's clearly going down and to the left. So the domain goes from left to right forever because of those arrowheads. So we could say this is from -infinity to +infinity, and making the plus sign there is optional because if you don't have a plus sign, infinity is assumed to be positive. So this would be moving to the right forever. It also moves up and down forever. Hopefully you can see that. That would continue to move up forever here. So the range is like saying how far down to up does it go? How far down to up does it go? Well, it goes down forever and up forever. So this is the same answer. Negative infinity to positive infinity. I'm going to leave the infinity symbol just kind of naked there because it's assumed that it's positive. A little bit different. Here's the domain for an upside down parabola like this. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause the video and you write in what you think it would be. And we are back. The domain of this graph goes left and right forever. So it's going to be negative infinity to positive infinity. The infinity symbol, by the way, looks like that. It's just hard to make small. The range, if you get in the habit of saying the range is down to up, you'll get it in the right order. A lot of people, it's more natural to say up to down. But if you say down to up, it's proper because that's how the y-axis works. So it goes down forever. So we say negative infinity to, and how far up does it go? It goes up to 3. Right there, 3, and stops. It doesn't go to 4. So it's up to 3. And that's your final answer. Have a good one.